How's it going, Rollerbitters? So in the last video, we kind of broke down the $125 Anarchy Revolution 2 skate here that we got from skatepro.com. And so we kind of broke it down, kind of feel, quality, everything. But today we're actually gonna skate it and see how it actually performs. And so we're out here at Pearsall Park in San Antonio, Texas. And so we're gonna put these to the test and see how they skate. So I'm gonna be looking for kind of just comfort, feel, kind of durability, flexibility, you know, how they grind, how they roll, just the quality, and you know, just a whole feel, right? Looking for hot spots, looking for any pain points, and then I'll give my kind of impression on how I feel once we get back home. But before we do that, once I've kind of skated them for an appropriate amount of time, really giving them a good fair shake, I brought a couple of goodies. And so what I'm wearing kind of medium-sized socks, so I brought some thin socks and I brought some thick socks in case I need to adjust. And so I would encourage that for you as well if you need to adjust fit or if something's uncomfortable. Just wearing a different thinner or thicker socks can sometimes solve the problem that I found. I brought some anti-rockers because these are riding flat, which means all four wheels are the same and all four are meant to be rolled on. I brought some anti-rockers, which you can pick up for pretty cheap. I'll put kind of a screenshot right here of where you can get them from really any inline skate online shop. And so we're gonna skate them flat on rails, ledges, everything we can find just to get a real feel for them. And then we're gonna put some anti-rockers in the middle, right? Just swap out these two wheels with little hard wheels that slide a lot better. And then we'll see how that performs. And then I've brought my MyFit second skin liners out of my Nick Lomax skates, which I'm not sure exactly how much these are alone, but I'll put that right here. And so just for fun, just to see how they fit. So these are out of this, basically the same size skates as the Nick Lomaxes, so they should fit fine in here. But just for fun, right? So these are two simple upgrades that if you buy these skates and you want to later upgrade them, two really easy ways is just to throw anti-rockers in there, or these are UFS frames, so you can even swap out the frames, which we talked about in the last video, which I'll put a card in the corner right here. But you can swap these frames out for any number of frames. They're UFS, so they're universal frame system, right? And then, again, swapping the liner can create a world of difference as well. Let's get after it. time to give you guys kind of what I think on my impressions after the first session on the Anarchy Revolution 2s here. So I guess if I could sum it up in a word, I would say impressed. For $125 skates, I am absolutely impressed. I had my doubts. And so we'll kind of go through some of the big ticket items that I noticed. So fit, I think fit was appropriate. Again, my foot mondo is 275. This is a size 10, which is what their chart called for. And I think a fit was appropriate. They didn't feel like boats on my feet. They also didn't feel too snug. I will say, you know, I had my doubts about this liner because I think it is a pretty inexpensive liner that they have in here. And so I'll say when I first put them on, I immediately noticed that the arch support in these skates, or at least in the footbeds, was for me excessive. I knew, I mean, literally the second I put the skates on, that it was only a matter of time before they became too uncomfortable for me to skate for a prolonged period of time. And so I think I skated them for about close to an hour, probably 45 minutes to an hour before I decided, okay, the pain, it was just too uncomfortable. And so I decided to try swapping out the footbed, because I mentioned on the last video, Card in the Corner, where I talk about these and I break them down before I skated them, that the insole here, the footbed, has a huge amount of like arch support. It's like thick and high, and it's just a lot of material, at least in my opinion, from what I'm used to. And so I just pulled these out, popped in my Aeon footbeds here, which are like almost nothing, right? Like nothing special, pretty middle of the road kind of footbeds here. And my discomfort issues were almost completely, I don't even say almost, they were completely solved. Like the skates after that felt just fine. I mean, really just fine. So that's the only thing that I changed on the skate. And I'll get to that later, but super impressed. I swapped out the footbed for something with a little bit. And so understand too that, you know, I have pretty low arches. That's gonna vary from skater to skater. Just because I need to switch those out doesn't mean that you necessarily need to switch those out. So keep that in mind. Other than that, they were nice and comfy. I can't complain. They're not quite as comfy as my, you know, $400 Aeons, but for $125 skates, no complaints. After I swapped out the footbeds, no complaints. So for rolling, once I actually started rolling around, I noticed that they seemed quite slow. Like it just seemed slow. It seemed like I really had to try hard to accelerate. It seemed like I was trying to lug these things around. And I don't know, maybe someone can speak to this if we have more experts watching, but it seemed like the more I skated, you almost needed to just work the bearings in just to get them going, get them kind of warmed up, get them going. And so once I actually skated them for probably 30 minutes, I could tell that they were rolling faster. So I was a little bit discouraged at first because I was like, this is going to be painful trying to, you know, lug these things around with the bearings being so slow. But after kind of breaking them in, whatever you want to call it, they ended up rolling just fine. Not like the fastest skates I have ever skated, but they were an adequate amount of roll, right? So that's good. As far as like the support on the skates, I kind of noticed on the first video that we talked about that these things have a pretty flexible shell and they have good support. I was really impressed with the flexibility of the boot here. I was really able to get over on the different grinds like royales and different topside tricks on ledges, and that was not a problem. I was not fighting the flex of the skate at all, which was great, which was a nice surprise. And it did still offer enough support for me to do some of these airs and gaps, and I didn't do any like flat gaps, but it still offered more than enough support for other types of skating as well, not just grinds where you want to be nice and flexed over. So I was really happy with the flex. Thumbs up. As far as jumping in these skates, like I mentioned on the first video, you can tell immediately if you've held very many pairs of skates in your hands that these are heavy. They're heavy. It is what it is. So here's the thing, is I mentioned, and let me back up a little bit back to the comfort. So I brought these liners out of my Aeons, the MyFit liners, which I think are like $100 liners. I'm not sure, I'll put a screenshot here. But these are out of the Aeons, nice neoprene toe box. I mean, these are pretty nice liners. I love these liners. And because I was confident that these skates were going to be too uncomfortable to skate for a long period of time. I ended up skating probably about maybe 2.5 hours total. And I completely brought these because I was almost certain I was gonna have to use them, and I didn't. So that's a testament. Like I didn't even feel the need to swap out the liner. So just to touch on that before we move on. And then for grinding, I had a feeling these were gonna be fine on rails, which they were. They did fantastic on rails. I'll talk a little bit about kind of the misalignment of this backslide groove and the H-block groove. And you can kind of see right there that they're sort of misaligned, right? They're not quite matched up perfectly. That might not be super noticeable for a beginner necessarily, but for me, specifically on torque grinds on rails, that was noticeable. So that was unfortunate, didn't like that. But again, if you swap out your frames, I don't think that'll be as much of an issue. But I brought these, so for ledges, again, they were just fine on rails. I brought these anti-rockers, which I mentioned before, these little hard wheels, if you're not familiar with them. You put on the inside, take these wheels out and you put those little hard wheels in there so that it doesn't rub on the obstacle and stick, called wheel bite. Wheel bite is like the enemy of all ledge grinds. So I brought these because I was like confident. I was driving to the skate park, like, all right, I'm gonna leave these in here and I'm gonna just show everyone that you can't really skate ledges that well with these because you'll get too much wheel bite. Well, I was more than pleasantly surprised at the lack of wheel bite. I don't know that I got wheel bite once at all. On a ledge that I routinely skate with my Aeons, which have a much bigger H-block, wheels that are kind of recessed. I mean, much less opportunity to get wheel bite. I got less wheel bite with these skates, believe it or not, than with my Aeon. So I literally was blown away, absolutely blown away. I did all kinds of, I mean, you saw in the edit, I did back Savannas, I did, Royales, Farbs, whatever. No wheel bite. It was insane, absolutely incredible. So that's a huge thumbs up there. Really happy with the size of the positives and negatives. I talked about this before, and I didn't measure these per se, but just kind of like eyeballing them. I mean, these are good size soles and negatives. Definitely not lacking in that department. So I guess just to sort of sum it up, kind of just to sum up my thoughts here. So what are the pros? The skate costs 125 bucks. That's a pro. And it's not $125 plus shipping, plus tax, plus this, plus that. It's $125 shipped to your doorstep, 100% out of pocket. Another pro, they're actually pretty comfy. For my feet, once I swapped out the footbed, they were pretty comfy skates. Again, we talked about the big soles and negatives, no wheel bite, and the flex. I can't say it enough. The flex on these skates is actually really good, like really good. I didn't feel like I was having a fight. And then so I think the biggest drawback with these skates is they're just heavy. These are heavy skates. Like it was literally like I was having to recalculate how much effort I was putting into jumping onto different tricks, jumping over different obstacles because I've been skating the Aeons, which are substantially lighter than these are. And so that, I mean, I think that's the only real drawback. Yeah, there was the footbed thing, but that's gonna vary from skater to skater. So those are the two drawbacks that I have. All in all, I think if, okay, so here's the thing. And on the last video, there's, a lot of people in the comment section saying, just spend some extra money, buy some sways, spend some extra money, buy some Colts or something. So I love Colts. And I think I've had 2 pairs of Colts in the last couple years here. And I'm a big fan of Colts. I really am. I've skated them a lot. I think these are the Colt Copper 1s. Maybe they're the Colt Copper 2s. Either way, they're the Colt Coppers. And I think I paid probably like maybe 150, 160 bucks for these. Are they better skates? Yes, they are better skates. Absolutely. They come with nicer frames. They come with anti-rocker. I don't know that the liner is that much nicer, but they are a little bit more expensive. And if you truly are stuck at $125 out the door, I don't think there's any reason that you shouldn't at least consider these. Okay, listen, Skate Pros not paying me. Stateside or whoever is the actual underlying parent company of these skates is not paying me. I'm saying, completely unbiased, that if you truly have a very small budget relative to other aggressive skates, that these are I would recommend these. If you can, I'd say yes, save up a little bit more money, get something a little bit nicer. But if you're really stuck on $125, hey, go for it. I think you saw today that in the clips before that you can just about do whatever you want in these skates. Not that I'm super good or anything, but the skates didn't hold me back from doing just about every trick that I do in my Aeons, honestly. So only thing was just torques, but whatever. Also, for all the OGs watching, tell me what video this is. If you can guess, I'll pin the comment just like the last time with words. Anyway, so that's my rundown on the Anarchy Revolution 2 skate here. Again, I think it's a great skate. Let me know what you think down in the comments. As always, if you did like the content, make sure to consider subscribing. Give the video a thumbs up if you did like it. and ring that little bell to know exactly when I post new videos. And we will see you, roller booters and roller bladies, on the next video. Take care. Which one of these videos looks more interesting to you? This one or this one? Click one to support the channel and to support rollerblading, and I'll see you there.